So do you want to stick with the eating on a balanced diet still? I think that could really be helpful based off of what you shared. Okay. But don't let me influence it. The other ones sound good to you too. Because reading a nutrition label and eating on a budget are good too. Get a lot of useful information from all three of them.
I think a balanced diet is kind of my main concern right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so what I would like for us to now do is to think about the topic you selected and the information you provided with me. I would like for us to work together to create a SMART goal for you to, at this level change you indicate. And SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. The most successful lifestyle change occurs when you make the SMART goal and you understand your level of motivation readiness to meet this goal. To get a better idea of how ready you are to make a change, we'll use a picture of a rule. If 0 is not ready at all and 10 is ready, where do you think you are? And I'm going to get the assessment graphic and you can determine where you are on the assessment graphic.
Like minor changes or major changes?
Just, I guess, yeah, minor.
Minors? I'm pretty sure.
However, whatever motivational stage of readiness you think you are.
I just circle it?
Yeah, you can tell me too.
I probably had an 8.
Oh, 8, wow. Okay. Okay. So you are ready. You are actually at level 3 on the assessment graphic. So, okay. So thank you again for answering these questions about your diet and about readiness. From your response, it appears that you are in this stage of readiness, level 3. What do you know about the topic you selected to learn more about? Do you know much about eating on a balanced diet?
Well, I know there's like, I've only taken account for what I've learned in nutrition, which is like, you have to avoid trans fats, you have to avoid certain oils. You see more benefits in consuming more leafy greens, which I tried to make a habit of, and I'm trying to be aware of the carbohydrates I consume. Like, my family gets free bread a lot, but it's like, I don't want to eat it even though it's around my house.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
and maybe it's like, I don't want to eat cereal a lot, because it's like a better way of getting grains into my body.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it tells me to pay attention more to labels about added sugars versus like natural sugars.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all really great nutrition insights to know about. There's so many good cereals where if you go to the store and you walk down the cereal aisle, you're just bombarded with so many different choices and decisions, and it's just hard to be a consumer in today's grocery store society. But there's so many good cereals to look for that don't have added sugars or that have, 100% honey or agave or maple syrup or fruit concentrate instead of added sugars or high fructose corn syrup that are more higher glycemic and more refined.
I didn't think of looking for fruit sugars before,
Yeah.
but now I know.
And then I don't know if you're into oatmeal. I know you said porridge, but you can look, a lot of people will buy instant and they have sometimes up to 25 grams of sugar per 8-ounce packet. So it's really important to look for unsweetened and just add your own fruit or maple syrup.
I was gonna ask, anytime I make oatmeal,
Yeah.
I add peanut butter in it, and I know that's like it. I heard like there's a difference between processed peanut butter and natural peanut butter. How there's the separation of oil
Yeah.
that will occur, if it's a good sign or not.
Yeah, you want to look for, I used to buy Skippy and Jif growing
Yeah.
up, but then I figured out when I was 18 that they hydrogenate it. So mechanically they process it a lot more. They add in more hydrogen molecules. So you want to look for 100% peanut butter. Natural doesn't necessarily mean they don't add sugar or hydrogenate it, so you want to look for, look at the label, look at the ingredients to make sure it's just peanuts or salt. I add peanut butter and almond butter to my oatmeal too. It's a really good way to add protein. Okay, so after hearing out some of the information, do you see any links to your diet patterns? We're gonna come up with some SMART goals once we go over some helpful tips and hints on these handouts. So following a balanced diet, I'm just going to read off some really helpful hints. Trying to add fruits and vegetables to every meal and snack. A good rule of thumb is to make half of your plate fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are good because they are very high in micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, fiber, but also lower cholesterol, lower calories, fat, and sodium. You don't have to buy only fresh organic produce. All forms of fruits and vegetables, including frozen, canned, dried, and juice, count. Frozen options are good because you can keep it longer, which prevents waste. If buying canned, be sure to rinse them off with water to wash off anything that is added to them during the canning process. Make sure it is 100% juice. This will limit your added sugar consumption, because I know some people will buy the vitamin waters, or like, I don't know, they have a lot of juices on the market these days. And they have a lot of sneaky sugars that you need to look at the ingredient list to make sure that you know it's just 100% fruit.
Yeah.
Try to eat a variety of vegetables, including dark leafy greens, red-orange vegetables, starchy ones, and other ones to make sure you're getting a variety of nutrients. Do you think there's any ways you could have added more vegetables into your meals yesterday? You could have sneaked them in?
I could have had maybe like, they usually cook it, but I guess they didn't cook it yesterday. Most of the time we'll have like bok choy on the table, or we'll have broccoli rub.
Okay. So serving of fruits and vegetables is 1 cup, and the USDA My Plate recommends 5 to 6 servings per day. So half a cup dried or 1 cup fresh. So maybe you could have added in some bok choy into the rice or into the porridge.
Yeah.
Some steamed bok choy, 1 cup. Maybe next time that's a good way. Or sometimes I'll like to add in kale at the end. You know, the kale in the tub, and I'll just add in a cup of it.
My family makes this routine for everyone. After dinner, you have to eat fruit. So
I love that.
Yeah. So I'll always have fruit after dinner, and I'll always have fruit every day with me that I go to school. So like right now I have grapes with me that I'm gonna eat later.
Okay, great. Do you think maybe you could have eaten like an orange or an apple with your latte?
Yeah, I could have. Or like,
Okay.
yeah.
Just ways to get in more energy and vitamins and meet your fruit and vegetable requirements.
Yeah.
You're not vegetarian, I assume.
No.
Okay. There are many animal and non-animal protein sources such as nuts and seeds, soy, fish, beans, and peas, and meats, and eggs. So it's good to get a variety of different protein sources and not rely on the same one, same 2 all day or all week, because you just want to make sure you get versatile nutrients. Most people eat enough protein but need to make leaner and more varied selections of these foods. Non-animal protein sources have less fat. They're going to have no unsaturated fat unless it's peanuts or coconut oil. Those are the 2 exceptions. But all other animal sources have saturated fat in them. And then vegetable sources of protein, including legumes, nuts, seeds, and soy, do not have any saturated fat. so they're unsaturated. And cholesterol, it's a different form of cholesterol. If you're eating animal sources of protein, eating lean or low-fat meat and poultry to decrease fat intake. Also try the cooking method, try switching that up, try roasting, baking, or broiling your meat rather than frying it. Try to avoid processed meats such as ham, sausage, and deli meats, as those have a lot of sodium, so they're very processed. Do you see any animal protein sources that you're thinking of that you could maybe try instead of what you eat lately?
My mom always brings home turkey
Any
bacon.
non-animal source? Yeah.
We eat a lot of tofu in the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great source of protein. So do you think maybe you could switch out and try tofu?
I
for a
would be
meal?
happy to eat tofu for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, at night I don't really feel like eating a lot of meat.
Yeah. Just gonna find this list. Yeah, I think people tend to fry tofu a lot, and then that can add a lot of calories to it. So maybe try steaming it or
That's what we usually do.
broiling it.
Steaming it with like a little bit of oyster sauce on the side.
Yeah, do you see any proteins from this list or any, you can take a look at it if there's any ones that stand out at you.
I think I eat halibut, maybe like, oh no, I eat catfish most of the time. And probably salmon and catfish are the top two like fishes eaten in my house. And then I have a whole cabinet of sunflower seeds that I take with me like once a day. And I usually eat eggs, but I know like the whole controversy with eggs about like cholesterol and there's a standard, so I mean I still
Yeah, it's good to limit it.
I still eat it.
1 or 4 to 5 per week.
I will rarely, like, there's Spam in my house, but I will rarely eat it. Like, we had Spam the other night, but we haven't had it since, like, I can't even remember how long, but, yeah. It's when, like, nothing is in the fridge.
Yeah. Does your mom make all your meals, or?
Either her, my grandma, or maybe my dad will help sometimes, or sometimes I will cook it. I usually consume chia seeds with like some liquid weekly, and I'll eat some type of nut as a snack.
Do you know what kind of nuts?
We have almonds at home and we have cashews.
Okay. Cool, thank you. Grains are divided into 2 subgroups, refined and whole grains. Whole grains contain the entire grain kernel, the bran, germ, and endosperm. Refined grains have been milled, a process that removes the outer shell of the bran and germ. This removes the fiber, many B vitamins, and iron, although some of the vitamins are added back into refined grains. Fiber is not. The goal is to make half of your grains whole grains. The names on that sheet are all whole grains. Then ones on the bottom can typically be bought as a whole or refined grain. In order to choose the whole grain option, look for whole grain. As the first ingredient, food labels with the word multigrain, stone ground, or 100% wheat, cracked wheat, bran are usually not whole grain products, so make sure you don't buy into those false advertising claims. Color can be deceiving. Don't assume it is whole grain just because it is brown or cracked. Look at the sheet here. Do you see any whole grains that you would like to incorporate into your diet or replace them?
We usually have quinoa mixed with rice for dinner, but I would probably be willing to switch out to just quinoa for dinner. And I'll usually have brown rice maybe once a week.
Okay. Choosing low-fat milk, fat-free yogurt, and cheese to decrease fat intake is good. Avoiding sweetened milk products, drinkable yogurt or milk or kefir to limit your sugar. Consuming dairy products improves health benefits. It's helpful for bone health, vitamin D absorption. Dairy products are those that retain their calcium content. Foods made from milk that have little or no calcium, such as cream cheese and butter, do not count as your calcium intake for the day. If you don't consume dairy, make sure you're getting fortified juices, cereals, breads, rice milk, or almond milk. Calcium is also naturally in canned fish and leafy greens. Do you consume much dairy, or do you think there's any that you could swap out instead and do something that's doesn't have sugar in it or that's non-dairy?
I'll always drink almond milk. Maybe I'll like sometimes if I have like no more almond milk, we always have 2% reduced fat milk, and I'll just drink some of that.
Okay. Oils are not a food group, but they provide essential nutrients. Oils that are fat are liquid at room temperature. Those are plant sources, vegetable sources. And ones that are solid at room temperature are saturated. Those are animal sources like lard or butter. Oils are the major source of essential fatty acids in the diet. Solid fats that are liquid at room temperature like butter and shortening. Solid fats mainly come from animal foods, and they tend to raise bad LDL cholesterol in the blood, which increases risk for heart disease. Plant oils such as palm, coconut, and kernel are high in saturated fat, even though they come from a vegetable plant source, but should be still considered with the same consideration as the solid animal fats because they're high in saturated fat and they can raise cholesterol. Do you think there's any fats that you could swap out for healthier unsaturated fats, like mono or polyunsaturated fats that you see on the list?
We use a lot of corn oil, but we also have like olive oil. I don't really know any other
Okay.
that we typically buy. Like, I don't think my parents would be open to using avocado oil or anything like that.
Right. So what is the main oil you guys use?
They typically use like either olive oil or corn oil.
Do you think there's any other oils or fats that you could include in your diet from the list?
Sometimes there's vegetable oils. Other than that, no, we never really use any of these other oils in the house.
Okay, great. And then just as a reminder, limiting I don't think you are at the drinking age, but limiting your alcohol intake should be in moderation, but I don't think you're 21 yet. Okay. High sugar foods, when sugars are added to foods and beverages to sweeten them, they add calories without contributing essential nutrients, as we went over. Two main sources of added sugars are sugar-sweetened snacks and beverages, and sweets. Trying to limit your added sugar intake to less than 10% of your overall calories from the day. As a reference, one 16-ounce bottle of soda would be about 8% of your calories from added sugar, which is almost the limit for the whole day. High saturated fat foods, you can limit high saturated fat foods by choosing low-fat dairy and cheese products and leaner cuts of meat. Also, switching to oils rather than solid fats can decrease your intake of saturated fat foods. Okay. Now that we have written this down, let's come up with a SMART goal to help support your goals and what you learned based on today.
I think you gave me the idea of adding more leafy greens to my rice, which I like that.
Okay,
So,
can you come up with can you phrase it in a really specific
let's see.
objective way?
Or one of them is, I think I know, is I said I was gonna switch out, instead of using a combination of quinoa and white rice, I would try to start consuming just quinoa and see if there was a difference in my digestion.
Okay, so swap out quinoa for white jasmine rice.
Or is it the other way around?
Oh, swap out white jasmine rice for quinoa.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good one. Would that be in the porridge, or what kind of dishes would that be?
Every day for dinner.
I know quinoa is more expensive than white rice. Is
It-
that okay, or
No,
is that a strain on your
we usually buy it
parents?
at Costco. Yeah.
Okay. So for porridge and for other dishes?
For porridge, I would probably add in some bok choy or some type of leafy green. to
Okay,
it.
so that's your second one?
Yeah.
How would you phrase that?
Add maybe a cup of bok choy to my porridge. I don't know.
Are you eating this porridge every day?
Eat it maybe every other week.
Okay, so you wouldn't do this every day. How often would you do it?
Anytime that my mom usually makes it.
Okay.
I would probably think. Oh, I should start. I haven't done this in a while. I should actually, instead of taking my typical breakfast, cereal, milk, or toast, I would start eating oatmeal.
Okay,
Yeah.
so eat oatmeal. So I just need to check the time. Okay. We have 10. So oatmeal in the mornings
Yeah.
instead of
bread and cheese.
would it be instant oats or what kind of, or
I
steel
have-
cut oats or rolled oats?
I have rolled oats at home.
How confident are you that you can make these SMART goals using the same 1 to 10 scale?
Probably a 7 or 8.
So 7 or 8.
Yeah, most likely 7.5.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. what would you need to get to 10 on a ruler? What is preventing you from making these changes?
My motivation.
And what else?
Probably time management. If I can get home early enough to like cook my quinoa, or at least like meal prep for the morning.
Okay, great. Okay. What do you like about your present patterns?
I like how I make a habit to eat fruit every day.
Okay, that's good. How many servings of fruit do you think you eat per day?
2 servings.
Okay, and then what do you dislike about your patterns?
Probably my like my variety in protein.
Okay. What are you saying to yourself about the goals that we made?
It seems easy, and it seems like it's realistically accomplishable.
Okay. Do you have someone at home who could support you? Or a journal, chart, or smartphone app, a tracking device that could help keep you on track?
Oh yeah, I use this. I had the app before. I was like my fitness buddy or something. Yeah.
So My Fitness Buddy app. Do you have anybody else at home who could support you?
Parents.
Do you think you guys could aim to eat a couple meals with some of the swap outs that we discussed?
I would eat it. They wouldn't.
Oh, they wouldn't?
No, it was just
They
me.
need to come in here. My parents too, that's how I feel. Okay, the SMART goals that we discussed today are swap out white jasmine rice for quinoa every day for dinner in your porridge, and then add 1 cup of bok choy to porridge at dinner. Was that just porridge, or was that another meal at lunchtime?
Any time that we have porridge, sometimes they'll tell us to eat it for breakfast or dinner.
Okay, so sometimes breakfast, or maybe it'll be in your oatmeal with peanut butter. Oatmeal in the morning instead of bread and cheese for breakfast. And how many days a week do you think that's realistically accomplishable?
I want to say like 2 or 3.
Okay, now that we have written this down, why don't you paraphrase what we have just planned for you?
So we analyzed my current previous diet and seeing how like it's easy for me to swap out white rice that has more sugar and with quinoa that has more whole grains, including every time I have bok choy, it's more of a leafy green to help to get my servings of veggies, and also to help me with my lack of grain consumption. Just ate whole rolled oats, like oatmeal, instead of bread with cheese, like white bread and cheese.
Yeah, 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 you can help meet your whole grain requirements for the day closer if you search for whole grains like rolled oats. And just make sure they don't have any sugar or anything added to them. Rolled oats, you can do the instant packet that's unsweetened, but I prefer the rolled oats in their whole form because they're not as processed. Well, thank you very much for participating. It has been a pleasure to help do this